the Twitch chat here right now and close this giant ad that's covering up the Twitch chat. Let me know in the Twitch chat, everybody, if you can see us getting ... from people. I'm gonna assume
we are. Oh,
okay,
hey.
We're live.
Thank you.
Okay, I see everybody here in the chat. Hi guys, it's me, Dennis, your community manager here at Blue Isle Studios. We're here to show off Sawyer, finally, after so long, after so much hype, months and months of hype, the big new update. And the exciting thing about this big new update is that it's going out to everybody next week.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I've been on pins and needles just waiting.
Yeah, a lot of development time has gone into this. Yeah, a lot of work. You know, we're reimagining a lot of the game, adding a ton of new features to the game. And we're super, super, super excited to get it in everybody's hands next week, the 27th.
Yeah.
I attempted to get this stream going on our store page on Steam. And I think because their servers are getting hammered because of the sale, that might not be working. If it is working, anyone that's watching on the store page probably has no idea who we are. So again, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Dennis, the community manager here at Blue Isle Studios. If you jump on the forums, if you go into the community Discord, which there's a link to in the forums, you'll see me around. And why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Sawyer. I'm one of the game designers here at Blue Isle Studios. Just one of the men behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah.
Hello, Steam store page.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Maybe. I sure hope. Just jumping off of that point, the Steam sale is happening right now, so if there was ever a time to buy Citadel and you're on the fence, it's probably now, because I think the game's on sale for 50% off, which is quite a discount.
That's a big discount.
Solid discount. So yeah, we're going to be taking a look at the new update right here, right now. And this is a huge, huge update, so we're going to be showing off a lot of stuff. Let's start off right away with a thing that I think most people are really, really excited about, which is the new spellcrafting feature. Yeah. So while I set that up, why don't you just give like an introductory spiel about what this is and how it changes the game?
Okay. So in previous versions, we had spells built into the KP tree, so you had to learn them and assign them directly to a weapon, and you know there was a decent amount of feedback from those spells, but there wasn't as much variety and as much creativity in them as we would have liked and as much as you would have liked. So we took this next step of adding spellcrafting, in which the world is full of ingredients and essences that can then get combined to craft a spell directly to the weapon.
Right.
That would be fire spells, lightning spells, light spells, dark spells. Trying to give much more options and a little bit more freedom to the player, and actually crafting a spell and feeling like a wizard. And in those, you know, the wizard lore where so and so made this spell,
yeah,
like
right.
They came up with the incantation. It's kind of the influence behind it.
And the exciting part about that, as you mentioned, is the flexibility of the new system. Before it was very rigid. It was like, here's your tree of spells. This spell will be the same for you as it is for every other player. Now, not only do we have a ton more unique spell types, like spells, but you can also modify them in a ton of different cool ways. We're going to show all that off in just a second. Right now, I am running over here because I see there's a natural healing pool over there, which is a good source for what, Sawyer?
That's where you'll find the lovely dark essence. So that's something else that has come in this improvement, is a big push on the resource distribution throughout the world, be it the marble stones coming into it, these dark and light essences. So the natural pools found around the world will actually house the spell essences themselves, which are the base ingredient to creating a spell.
Right. And so when we go over here, we're going to see them, and they look really cool. And what we'll be doing is, like any other resource node in the world, we'll be harvesting them.
Yeah.
So a new thing, actually, I'll show that off instead. A new thing is that typically you do this with a stone axe, for example, early in the game. Now you can also harvest resources. Extract is still in the game, but now you can use melee weapons to extract resources from the world, right?
Yeah. So as you chop away at these things, it'll just be similar to other experiences, exactly what you expect, just chopping down a tree.
It's not giving it right now, but that's because these have like a pretty low harvest rate. As
They
I
do.
understand.
They have quite a small one, yeah.
So.
Forgot your slash there.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna give myself Nature's Essence really quick, just so I can give myself Harvest, so we can get some of this going here.
This will be the first preview, and
we can show them right now
right
how
now.
you make a spell. So assume I found a resource spot where I could get Nature's Essence, and I harvested this Nature's Essence. So now I want to take this Nature's Essence, which is an integral part of making, as everybody knows, the Extract spell, and I want to use that to build that Extract spell. So how am I doing that?
So we're going to take this essence, we're going to plop it straight into the main pool there.
Right.
And you can see it's all green and lovely now, and you'll have 4 magic schools across the top. In this case, it looks like AoE, projectiles, or that's blast, yeah, sorry.
No.
Blast,
Yeah.
AoEs, you have your self spells, so your self heals, your speeds.
Right.
And then the utilities like Pacify and Harvest. So once you have that in your main pool, you'll pick which slot on your weapon you want them in.
Right. We'll put it on the left click.
And you'll craft your spell.
Cool. So now people may say, oh, there's only 4 types, but that's actually not accurate because depending on the weapon that you're using, the different types of spells that are available to you to craft changes, right?
Yeah. So as like we're using a melee weapon, if we were to switch to a staff or a wand, the class of schools, I suppose, would then change for each weapon.
So now you can see I'm gathering a whole bunch of Dark Essence because now I'm using the Extract spell. The melee gathering is great for early game if you're like trying to gather wood or stone, starting your first base, getting your first resources together to extract all kinds of things. But you're going to want that Extract spell when you start going after essences because they are a little harder to extract.
Yeah, they take a little bit more time to find. There's less of them in the world. The melee harvest was really nice just for usability, so you're not combing the beaches for sticks and stones, just trying to make a little house.
Right. So another thing to point out is you might notice here on the screen, and I'm going to be checking your chat questions in just a moment. Please feel free to ask any questions you have regarding this. Oh, move the mic a little more in the center of us. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure we're audible
Let's get
here.
that sucker close.
So what people might have also noticed here on our crafting screen, first of all, the new UI, we should point out, this is probably really interesting to people, is that our amazing UI designer, Darren, he's done an incredible job just completely redoing the entirety of our menu system. Huge changes. Look at how beautiful it is now.
Right?
It animates and...
Oh, it feels so good. Hats off to Darren.
Hats off to Darren. We're just constantly congratulating him here
Right?
in the studio. He must be sick of it at this point. But what you might have noticed is that this is already glowing purple. So what does that signify?
So those are the Arcane School, which is the free magic school.
Right.
This is so that you're not purely dependent on spell essences. So these can be automatically assigned and kind of gives you a semi-cost-free way to experiment with these spells.
Yeah.
You can still modify an arcane spell. This is similar to the other ones. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But these ones are the free ones. So say Dennis wanted to make haste on this weapon. He'd pick self and then the right slot.
Sure.
And just boom.
There we go. Yeah, and so these are free. These are, you don't need an essence to make these arcane spells. They are available to you as soon as you've got a weapon to throw them on. They're less powerful than your, you know, other essence spells, but they're there for early gameplay. And just like if you find yourself in a fix, your other spells have run out of charges, because spells do have charges now, something to be cognizant of. You can throw those arcane spells on there real quick and get back into the action. So speaking of charges and something you touched on, modification, we mentioned that earlier. Not only are you creating these spells by, you know, throwing an essence in there, choosing a type and seeing what comes out, but then you can also modify those spells in a number of different ways by throwing, if you look here on these 5 spots, additional ingredients into the mix. So just quickly, because I already have it here, I have some crowberry, I have some ghost orchid here.
Perfect.
I'll show you. We'll make a blast arcane spell. This is stock blast arcane, so it's arcane blast. It's a, you see, it's pretty cool. It's a big AoE attack kind of thing. And as you can see here, it's just 217 to 507 damage, very basic. But if we make that same spell again, we'll do that in this slot. But this time, I think if we throw in some crowberry, and there's a ton of different ingredients that you can use.
Yeah.
I'm just using crowberry as an example. Craft that spell again.
Oh, a little hiccup.
Oh, a little hiccup there. Hold on, I know what happened. It probably got confused. And by the way, you might see some glitches. This is still very much in development. We're hammering these things out.
Yeah.
A lot of them we hammered out before you guys get your hands on them next week. But also do keep in mind this is a test. We are giving you access to a test branch of the game to try this out early. This is not the official release of this content. So if you are finding bugs, please let us know on the forums. We actually really appreciate that.
Yeah, it'd be a big, big help.
So I'm going to do it on this staff here. So, ow. Can't do the blast on this staff. You know what? I'll give myself... another... No, I'm going to use the same weapon, so it's equitable. Another blade tooth to look at. So, this blade tooth, that spell came out as... Oh. That spell came out as 217 to 507. So now we'll do the same thing, but this time we're going to chuck a bunch of crowberry in there. And same thing, okay. Now it's 229 to 534. We gave ourselves a 5% damage increase. And that might seem small because it is an easy to acquire plant, right?
Yeah, that's a relatively low level plant.
Right.
It's as the ingredients become rarer and rarer, they'll provide bigger bonuses, sometimes really interesting ones like leech damage, bleeding damage. A big one will be the spell energy itself. That was mentioned earlier, the charges around the spell.
Right. Can modify that. There's a bunch of really interesting ones. Isn't there? Like
range can be increased now.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was something that was totally absent in the previous spells, was the actual affiliation of range to weapons or anything like that.
Right.
So this is this one would be a new top on for spells.
Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah, and there's different tiers of quality of those items. So that small 5% damage increase, if you get a much better reagent that is able to do damage increases, will give a much bigger increase than that. So it's always encouraging you to experiment, to grab things, chuck them in here, and just see what they do. I don't know, let's just make some spells. I got a staff here. I gave myself some storm essence. So that's more of our like lightning, electric type spells, right?
Yeah.
So let's go with... I think this is the one I love. I think it's Area of Effect.
The Lightning Strike?
Yeah. Oh, I love that spell. This spell is really strong, and it looks so cool. Let's see if I can find anything to use it on.
He's going to take our hats off to Darren again.
Yeah, Darren.
He did a big revamp of the spell VFX as well, so you'll notice they are much prettier than they were before.
Dude is truly indispensable. Like all these, you poor rabbit, but you're the only one around. Oh, if I can even catch you.
He's quicker than you.
All right, you live to see another day. Well, anyway, you guys can see this lightning strike is like super, super cool. What else is there? Let's use fiery essence. Okay, go in here and maybe I'll use blade tooth instead because then I can make the grenade.
Ooh, yeah.
Also a personal favorite. I think that's the blast for fiery essence with a melee weapon. You get no,
that's the AoE.
It's the AoE. Okay.
Because it's the grenade explosion.
The grenade explosion. So let me just do this, show off this cool grenade, and I'll check chat in just a second. See if you guys have any questions about spellcrafting. It's a really big change, and we've had to shuffle a lot of things around to accommodate it, but I think it's going to make the game way more interesting for people.
It's made huge adjustments into combat. Like, the balance of combat had to shift for these, and it was fantastic. It feels much more fluid, much more punchy. Like, combat is great.
So the Wishmaster asks if we'll be able to combine essences. No. You choose your essence. That is the foundation of the spell you're going to make. But those... modifying reagents that I used 5 crowberries, but you're not bound to using multiples of the same type of modifying item. So if I wanted like to increase the number of charges on that spell. I could throw in like a few. Do you know off the top of your head?
The Ghost Orchid does.
The Ghost. Okay, yeah, I'll show them right now then. So let's say I want to make that blast again, and I want to throw a little Ghost Orchid in there to increase the charges a little bit, but I still want a damage modifier. Like, I'm free to do whatever I want with these items. And so this comes out with a 4% bonus energy and a 3% damage increase. So it's really modifiable. You can experiment with this, go crazy, find cool combinations, and tell your friends about them, and just a lot of experimentation. You know, like, that's kind of the foundation of Citadel, is like exploring and like experimenting and stuff, and so it's cool that we've extended it right into the spellcrafting too.
Yeah, it just branched out, and it just made sense for everybody when we started talking about it in the studio as the direction we wanted to take, and as well establishing magic styles.
Yeah.
The fire, the lightning, and all those, just really establishing some form of class and expectation from these spells.
Right, yeah. So we're getting a question here from Custodis. They're asking if there's any chance in the future we'll see more weapon types or more armor types. That's not in this update. This is an update less about content, though it's more about systems and features and new ways of engaging with the game. Because we're going to go through all this stuff, but just off the top of my head, we got the spell crafting, we got the farming, we got the cooking. Like, it's big, sweeping new systems that are really the focus of this.
And one of the big ones for me personally is the house management.
Yeah.
Like, all the updating of the systems that felt like they were a little bit behind, and we kind of closed in as many gaps as we could and optimized as much as we could.
That's absolutely right. So you can see here I'm in a house on this server.
Yeah.
Hello, house. But our house master here is our QA, Deanna, and I am a warlock in the house. So right there you can see that there are titles within the house, and what is the difference between these titles? Like, what kind of flexibility do we now offer in the house system that we didn't before?
So now it has chest permissions, door permissions, and build permissions. So it's kind of like an access. You can set ranks. So if you have a newcomer to the house and you're not sure if they're a regular player or if maybe you guys are even jiving as players as a group, you can limit their permissions so that they can't build on your structure, they can't open your chests,
right?
But they can see where you are, and they can come and use your crafting benches and things if you've welcomed them into the house,
right?
So it's kind of just some safety netting for the social gameplay that we really wanted to encourage, that make this kind of thing necessary, so you can pick your friend group and as well help everybody establish these groups a little cleaner and maybe encourage some house-to-house warfare.
Sure, yeah. And like, you can rise in the ranks of a house, you can meet new players, and maybe, like you said, they're standoffish, they don't know you, you're a new entity in their ranks, so they want to keep you, limited in what access you have. Maybe you can't access their chests, open their doors, but you get to know them, and they give you a little bump up in rank, and that's kind of interesting on its own right there. So next thing I want to show off, any other questions here from Spells? Oh, okay, this is from the Wishmaster, also a good question. Do we still have the same 3 types of raiding spells?
That's a big one.
I really hope you guys only kept the front blast. What's going on with raiding spells specifically?
So the raiding spells have taken a different direction. Instead of using the singular item that is required, so the required reagent to cast a spell, we've gone with the spell crafting system by introducing what we're calling just the siege damage. So as you're collecting, like as Dennis is starting his farm here,
right.
We have introduced some of the recipes with this farming. So as you farm certain plants, you'll be able to make an elixir that applies siege damage to a spell.
Right.
So it's kind of a percentage of your spell damage would get put into damaging structures, right, and healing structures as well. So it's a bit of a different shift. It's one that we're pretty excited about to see how it plays out with everybody in the PvP community. Just because that was needing a little bit of attention and had some good critique from the people that were experiencing raids.
Yeah.
So trying to make raiding more meaningful, but also trying to make it possible for every player to engage in this activity.
Right.
In one degree or another.
Yeah, and we're talking about a lot of those things and trying to figure out where we want to take them in the future. But for now, I think that's really cool that, you know, you can apply this raid status, this siege status to a variety of spells. Keeps things a little more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a deconstructor here. I'm going to show off a little farming. We did a stream in the past where we showed this off, but might as well show it off again. It's come a long way since then, too.
Yeah. Yep.
So basically, when you get into farming, you will go into your knowledge tree here. No, that's not the knowledge tree. And you will go to your utilities tab. I think, no, it's building.
Tab, yeah.
Of course it's in the structures tab. And
just down the alchemy list.
aha, yes, okay. So it's right here in the alchemy list. You'll get your plots, you'll get your sprinklers. And as you can see, I've laid them out here for us. The sprinklers affect plots within like a 1 block radius, right?
Yes.
So this sprinkler will water these plants, and same for all these other sprinklers. To get seeds for farming, hope this works. Might be a couple bugs in this build. We're still working on a few things, but this should be okay. So as you see, if I want to grow some ghost orchid in the future, I'll chuck it into this deconstructor here, hit deconstruct, and oh yeah, that's right, it goes into a bag here. And voila, I have some ghost orchid seeds, which I can then take here, and I can plant. Yeah. Okay.
So each one can hold up to 6 plants. They have the hydration. You can see the blue wheel kind of around the plot where that little plant picture is. That's your water.
Mm-hmm.
It has fertilizer. So something players in the survival genre have seen before is kind of the fertilization and hydration.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
I'm just checking the chat here. Really quick here. No questions yet about farming. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions about farming. And please do feel free to ask questions about farming if you have them. We're more than excited to show off this farming and answer your questions. So now I need to get the growth solution, right?
Yes.
So
Hobart's growth solution.
this is something you will have to craft, correct?
Yes. There's two fertilizers for it. There's mulch and there's Hobart's growth solution.
Mm-hmm.
The solution is much more powerful than mulch, but both require some form of crafting.
And so what does this do?
So this will, once added to the sprinkler, it'll automatically, as you see the water turned green there, so it's pumping out fertilizer.
Right.
It'll automatically fertilize the plots around that radius, which is what the plants need to be able to grow. Is they'll need water and they'll need fertilizer. And the more plants you have in the plot, the more fertilizer and water you require. So it's kind of just help the plants grow with a little solution.
Okay, so I throw down my sprinkler, I have my plots, planted my seeds, I deconstructed my plants, I got growth solution pumping out of my sprinkler. How long will it take for a planted, currently, I mean maybe the balance is still being worked on,
Yeah.
but currently how long will it take for a plant to grow?
So the basic plants that you can pick and deconstruct around the world, so there's going to be 2 types of plants. That's something exciting I'm excited about.
Right.
The original plants that are in the game now will take about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 minutes per stage because there's growth stages. So the reward of, say, ghost orchids on that plant will go up per stage.
Right.
So you'll come out with a few more than just like one ghost orchid. It's not growing one at a time.
Right.
The specialty plants will take, I believe, 3 to 4 hours to grow
Right.
to get to the end of their stage. If you don't pick them when they're done growing, they will eventually die. But that takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, there's I think a fair grace period there.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like they've matured and 5 minutes later they're dead.
Yeah. It's we're trying to make it a little bit more friendly, a little bit more approachable. So you can kind of plant your flowers, and then if you're going to bed for the night and you're coming in the next day, there's your flowers all ready to go.
This is basically our idle content. We want something that people can, have cooking while they're away doing other stuff. We previously had that with like our forges and our other crafting tables. You could set up a long craft go do something, come back, and the resources will be there. This is just another layer of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can farm things. And what will you be doing with all these plants aside from the obvious of like creating potions?
Yeah. So,
what else can you do with them?
So with these plants, like Dennis showed earlier, we can do spell mods. As you mentioned, we can do potion crafting, and we can also do cooking. So there's a lot of recipes throughout the game now that are using some specialty plants.
Yeah.
You can grow like you said, grow all your potionable plants, your consumable plants. So there's a few places that this can get put, and is being used. For the big, like the base application, I suppose, would be cooking.
Right.
As making recipes like rowan berry pudding, which is one of my, or crowberry cream, which is one of the starter ones, just using milk and cranberries. Yeah.
That sounds suspect. I don't want it. So I've thrown down here a fire pit, which is a new craftable. This is for, you're starting up the game. You're a low-level guy. You're entering this world. You don't know how to make potions yet. You're not really a wizard yet. You haven't worked your way up to that level. But you gotta, you need to feed yourself. You need health. You're gonna need to refill your mana after you cast a bunch of spells and you're getting low. And so our way of differentiating like mid to late game from like the early game and like making it more of a progressive experience is introducing cooking, right?
Yeah.
And so this will be an early craftable structure that you can plop down anywhere in the world. You don't need to have like a house. You don't need to have a floor. You can just throw it down on the ground because it's a campfire. So how does working with this work? What do you need to cook?
So you'll need pretty much what the ingredients from each recipe have. So just to kind of give some basic ones, there's one called a fresh berry salad, which will require crowberries,
right?
I believe some yellow pine and some ghost orchid.
Oh, you know what? Let's do that right now. This might have a bug. Oh no, is that fixed?
Yeah, that one's good in this one.
Oh, cool. So again, a little.
It'll also be sorry. The fire will also be serving a primary purpose for cooking things like proteins. Like if you hunt an elk, they now drop elk meat. Which you can then take some salt and cook over the campfire and have a long-term kind of health benefit. So instead of, like other survival games where they have the hunger meter and things, we just wanted to provide a nice passive benefit for taking this step.
Right.
Rather than making it a mandatory mechanic. Oh, lightning.
That was sweet. Yeah, so, he wants to die too. Okay. Man, he's tough.
He's in a dire situation.
Oh, Sawyer. Boo. Boo this man. Okay. Yeah, so as you were saying, you can also cook your proteins on here. I just murdered that elk. I took his meat, and we're going to go cook it up. But I might need something else.
Salt.
I think I got some from deconstructing the crowberries.
I think it was sugar.
Or was that sugar?
Yeah, it was sugar for desserts.
That makes a lot more sense that berries would have sugar in them and not salt.
It's a salty berry.
Yeah, okay, it all checks out. Let's see what we got here. So we got a bunch of, where is that, under here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got a bunch of plants, right? So we can make, what did you say we can make with that?
I believe it was the fresh berry salad.
Where is that fresh berry salad?
There it is. I think it's an on self.
Oh, you can make it on.
Yeah,
so you don't need the fire
yeah,
pit
so not for everything, every cooking recipe. I think this is one of the only ones that doesn't, because it's a simple, just picking up kind of recipe.
Right.
And I don't think this one has a long-term help.
Oh, I need mushrooms.
Need more stuff.
Okay, well, I'm going to just give myself some salt.
Yes, get some salt.
So you can see how the cooking works. So you go in here. What did I just kill? I killed an elk.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's showing here that I can craft some. Let's cook up those 2 elk meats right there. And while that's happening, let's check the chat really quick. People are saying that they don't want hunger.
No.
We don't have hunger. Let's see. As far as spellcrafting mods goes, can misc items such as plant seeds be used? Like, can you use plant seeds to modify? Does that have any modifying?
Not on the spells currently, no.
No.
They're a fairly common thing once you start deconstructing, but currently they don't. The plants themselves do have spell modifiers.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and do you know how many there are roughly, like, modifying items? Probably a lot.
About between 24 and 32. I haven't done the hard count.
It's a good number.
But there's quite a bit of them. It's every plant that grows on the ground.
Right.
All the rare stones that can be found, so irisite and amethyst and obsidian.
Yeah.
As well as things like the sickly hearts, the fairy dust.
The more rare.
All the specialty loot items and pickups that can be found throughout the world do something.
Oh, look at this failure. I didn't throw down mana generators. Will that still
this
work?
Is a good yeah, it'll kick back in. Still got time.
Throw in those mana generators.
I guess, has anybody seen this new?
The
area, yeah.
The like AO, yeah, that's not new. Well, maybe if you haven't played in a while, you can see here that we changed it from those lines that everybody hated to these like little AOE spheres that show exactly what a mana generator is affecting. So these 2 mana generators will be powering these 2 sprinklers here and these 2 sprinklers here. And so this is going. This is probably going to take a while for these to grow. So yeah, I have here my 2 little salted elk meats, and I just use them as if they were like potions or any other consumable. What's that little buff I've got there?
So that is a satisfied buff. So that's just saying you've eaten something relatively hearty, and it'll give you a long-term mana and health regeneration buff.
Cool.
So it's quite passive, but it's meant for long-term kind of if you're going out on your adventures, maybe you don't have your rings or necklaces or you just want a little extra oomph into your health and mana. This is a great way to do it.
Mental Midget here is saying it'd be great if this effect stopped when you placed a mana generator. I mean, it does if you stop. That's another thing that we changed. It's not visible if you don't have the build menu open. Previously we had those lines, and not only were there a ton of crazy lines flying everywhere, but they were always there regardless of what you were doing, which just looked kind of messy and
wasn't really controllable.
Yeah, so we've also limited it to build menu. But I mean, if you guys have feelings about how this could also be further improved, we're always listening. Please do share with us. Be it on the the Steam forums is probably a great place to leave that information for us. Yeah, cool. So I think for now, why don't we just show off some more of these spells, because we have so many cool spells.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, one other thing I want to show off too. Is just how cool the like coloring of the game is now
I was gonna
too.
say our environment got a big revamp by James and Darren.
Yeah, we kind of agreed internally that like our world was looking a little like drab, a little less inviting than we kind of wanted it to be. What's that?
The bird.
No, it's the bird.
The new NPC.
Hope he doesn't.
Sorry, yeah.
You made me lose my train of thought. You simple man, getting excited about birds.
But I like them. They're fun.
No, that's great. Yeah, we thought it was a little drab, a little less inviting. This is a game about like magic and wizards and like just casting cool spells, and it just kind of looked like brown and bland in some places. So we're like, let's pump up the color. Let's get a little more, vibrancy into the world here.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm just up here looking around. Like the forest is so much greener. The sky is like so much brighter, and like look at the statue, it just looks so much brighter and more inviting. I love it. It's a major improvement. And you should also when this update comes out, if you have a chance, check out the boss dungeons, just because this new like vibrancy that we've injected in the game has like made the boss dungeons also look a lot cooler.
They were so cool.
Yeah. Like just like the lava is like super, it's like bright, and it just like really pops in the environment. It's cool. Yeah, so we've also gone ahead and done that. We've made the game a lot more visually appealing and inviting to people. All right, let's go check out some cool spells.
Yeah, so that visual update carries well into these spells.
Yes,
because they are also super vibrant, super poppy.
Yes,
they're just great.
Absolutely, 100% yes. Compared to our old spell effects, night and day. Like so much prettier. Some of these things. Oh, you know what? I didn't give myself. I'll give myself some more. I love the. I think it's the AOE Nature's Essence. Oh wait, no, that's. Let me just see what this does here.
Geyser.
Oh, Geyser's cool. That's not what I was thinking of. It might be Light Essence. I think it's Light Essence.
Which one are you looking for?
The cool sphere that heals people and
yourself.
yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's Light Essence, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, which makes sense. Light Essence is more geared towards, like, support spells, healing spells, that kind of thing.
So that's actually something that's a big improvement as far as, like, we've noticed and in my opinion as well, is now there's essentially a healing class. Like, you can make yourself a healer for your party, which was very limited before.
Yeah, and we did a couple runs of the boss dungeons recently, and it made it a lot more interesting to just be like, all right, I'm going to be the healer. I'm going to gear up myself with, I have this sphere spell, and then I also have this healing projectile spell. So you guys get in there, you start wrecking the enemies, and I'll be hanging back. I'll be blasting you guys with, like, healing spells, and if you're really hurting, just, like, fall back to me. I can heal you with this, like, dome. It's really cool.
I like this one. I really like this one.
And the effect is just so cool.
It's so cool.
Look at that. So much better than our old effects. It's great. And I love the sound of this spell. We can't really hear it now. I hope you guys can. It has some cool sound effects. But yeah. So there's a lot of cool, like, healing spells. What does Self Nature's Essence do?
Oh, so that one's a mana to health switch. So if you have full health and no mana and you need to create some mana, you can spend your health. Oh, I don't know how we didn't touch on that before, but this is the reason that this one came into being, and it has an opposite where you can take mana and turn it into health into mana, is because dark spells now use health to cast.
That's really important to talk about.
That's an important difference.
Really cool. So we have that dark essence. We actually harvested it ourselves earlier. I'll just show. I made the. This is the AOE.
Yeah.
So this is just like you can create this like bloody vortex almost looks like
bloody swarm.
You can't see it right now because I have cheats on and I have unlimited health always. I have God mode on basically, but this drains your health. But these dark spells do a lot of damage. Like they're really strong. Some of the more strong spells in the game, I'd probably say.
And they actually apply a really cool debuff, the bleeding debuff that'll cause like an explosion at the moment of death.
Right. Yes. Let me see if I can show. Is that with this spell? Is it with the Dark Bolt?
Yeah.
Dark Bolt is cool. It's just like this fleshy ball. Like it's gross looking, but also super cool.
And it will bounce off of pretty much everything. You throw that through a window, it's going to be bouncing around their house for a minute.
Yeah, if you go into like those giant mobs in some of the boss dungeons and just chuck these around, they'll be bouncing around, hitting everybody. Some questions I saw here, I just want to read them real quick. So you may have not gotten to this point yet, but have you addressed the lag issues, i.e. large structures flying and multiple enemies in the field? I think we've made a lot of progress with that regard, just working through early access as we have been, and I think there are a lot of improvements that will be included with this update as well.
Yes, yeah, that was a big priority for the programming team, was to make sure everything was optimized to the best of that we can. So that's always something that we're working on improving, and that's why part of the reason we're doing these tests is to be able to find out the full results on full scale and everybody doing everything they could possibly want, and see what we can break.
Yeah, exactly, and we love getting your feedback on that and hearing your reports about it, because it genuinely does help us fix these things and target these things in the future. So also same with crashes, especially like if you're getting crashes, share your crash reports with us, please. There's a sticky on the forum. It'll show you where to find those crash dumps, how to send them to us, and they're really helpful for us to like patch those things up for you guys. Some of the major crashes that we've fixed have like they might not have been possible to be fixed if we didn't get like a bunch of crash dumps that help us understand the issue better. So yeah, definitely appreciate that too. I think the name of the game here is feedback. Keep giving us feedback.
Yeah,
we love it, and it's really helpful for us. Let's see. Got some Storm Essence here. I just did Utility. That is the Blink.
Yes.
Classic spell. Returning. Shock Armor. What does Shock Armor do again?
So this reflects damage that's applied to you. So if somebody attacks you, it'll reflect a percentage of that damage back at them in shock damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is just another layer of strategy that you can have, right? If you're fighting someone and you're like, oh my god, they're really overpowering me, it's like, oh, turn it around on them. Yep. Maybe make them rethink how they're approaching the fight with you.
Yeah, PvP has with these new spells, it feels much more, I don't want to say chaotic, but just much more intense. Like, things are moving around, there's a lot more strategy you can have.
In a good way.
In a very good way.
I think a really good way. Yeah, just, I think historically in the older versions of the game, and I'm sure a lot of players will agree with us here on this, most people just use the Fireball.
Yeah, like everybody went to Fireball. Any video we ever saw was Fireball.
It was just every video I've seen of this game. I am sure that will not be the case following this update.
Yeah, there should be a lot more. Well, there is. There's going to be a ton more variety and a ton more options that are really quite useful.
I think in terms of raw numbers of just like unique spells, disregarding modifications and all that, I think there's like 40 spells now.
I believe so, around
which
32?
Is like a lot more than we used to have too. Major undertaking for us here. This is just a basic like fire arrow kind of attack, but I think it does damage over time as well, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So fire applies the burning damage. Ice applies an ice slow buff. So as you are freezing people, the longer you freeze, the slower they go.
Right. Let's try and show that off. Do I have? No, I don't have any frozen essence. I should show some of that off. Yeah, so some of these spells they might even just look like basic bolts, but they also have additional little things going on that are really cool. Let's show some frozen essence spells here. So we'll show that one off that you were just talking about. Very similar to the Fireball one, but instead of doing... Oh, wait. I use Storm Essence again, but this is an awesome spell. We should totally show this off. Happy accident. This is a happy accident. This is a personal favorite spell of mine. I'm really glad we accidentally brought this up. This is just like an electric orb that like slowly moves across the battlefield, but anything that gets close to it like gets shocked.
Yeah. It's like a slow moving AoE.
Yeah. Let's just spawn NPC Direwolf. Is it level number or number?
Level then number.
Level then number. Okay, 1. We'll spawn 5. Oh, you got it backwards.
No, I do.
Sawyer.
I know.
Okay. Direwolf. 5, 1. Okay. So, oh, they're gonna spawn all weird.
Oh no.
And I'm stuck.
Quick,
fine.
get pounce. So if we try the nature spell pounce.
Okay. Let's. This is not going to happen to you guys. I promise you. This is because I'm a fool.
Oh, I need some nature's essence.
I can use what is
For
Blink.
Pounce? Oh, blink. That's storm. Storm self.
Storm.
Or is it utility?
I think it's utility.
Yes.
Okay. I'm out. This is cool. Okay, they're all lined up. That's great. The way it just like shocks all them is like slowly moves across the battlefield is so cool. That's great. That's I think like top 5 for me. That's a good one. What was I gonna show off? The frozen spells.
Frozen
yes,
spells. Yeah.
I just want to look at the chat here again really closely. Yes, Omega Justin, I did break everything again. I'm always breaking everything. Earlier today, I think I drove a lot of people crazy because I accidentally started the stream at like 1 p.m. and I sent them Twitch notifications like, Citadel streaming. A bunch of people jump in like, hey, are we going now? I'm like, no. I'm just a fool. I'm just a fool. Cash says hotkey trinket swapping would be a major improvement. That is a classic request.
Yeah, that's probably one of our biggest repeat requests.
Still not a thing, but we're very aware that people want that.
Yeah, it's something that we've kept in the back of our heads the whole time.
We're just trying to figure out a good way of doing it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely aware that people want that. Frozen Self, Ice Shield is a great one. That's what I wanted to show off. So you can just like throw up a shield which is cool. If someone's hurling or an enemy's hurling like projectile attacks at you, you can just like straight up block them all, which is really cool if you're pairing it with like, I'll just use like an arcane bolt. So you can like block someone's attacks and then turn around and like blast them with your bolts there, and then throw up your shield again. Another cool little thing we should show off here. Arcane Bolt, that's a returning spell, but it's a lot more interesting now, I think. Before it was just like
it's just a straight shot,
little bolt that
you
shot.
could snipe with that thing.
Yeah, well, that's not the case anymore. Now it not only arcs, but I love the way it just like whoop, 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 just fizzles out and just flies. Like it loses its accuracy over time, so it's kind of like it's unstable almost. Like it's not reliable. It's a mid to close range spell, I'd say. Yeah, what else can we show off here?
There's also like even the fire bolt and the ice bolt, like all of those kind of have that similar behavior. They're a little bit more clean.
Yeah.
They don't go as wild as the arcane missile, but they do have that lob-esque effect, so they will get pulled down to the ground. So they're a lot of these spells, they won't travel forever anymore.
Right. I don't have.
And I believe that was actually a note mainly for PvP, people being able to snipe out structures and things like that from really far out.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a way to implement range on those bolts and make it really entertaining as well.
Yeah. Is this? This is.
Pounce.
Oh, that's Pounce. Okay, Pounce is cool. You kind of just leap forward and attack. So, like,
use as a double jump.
Oh, that's also true. Yeah, that's a good point. What is the like the thorns, like the dum, 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 dum. I love that spell.
Roots of Wrath. So that one would be the beam, I believe.
Oh, that's beam.
Or is it
okay.
nature projectile?
Let's try both. Sorry, we're having fun here. All right. This is the essence of what we're trying to make. We're experimenting.
Right.
Sawyer. We're doing exactly what we said we were.
As designed. There we go.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, it just follows the ground. That's so cool. It really goes. That's awesome. Does a lot of damage. Looks really cool.
Yeah, so many times during testing I've accidentally killed hares that are in the distance behind combat. Just
oh, look at this fool right here. Just standing around. I love that as a little knockback too. Just to further humiliate them.
If your haste is fast enough, you can actually ride that thing too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
whoa,
you can catch up to it and ride it out.
That's the pro meta. I'm not there yet, man. I'm not there. I am not a warlock yet. Just tons and tons of cool spells that you can find here. Just throwing things in and just seeing what comes out. Like we've only just shown you a little bit of what there is, and we don't want to obviously show everything off because we want to encourage that
keep that mystery a little bit.
Yeah. So I think we're going to wrap up here in just a second, but if anyone has any questions, please throw them at us. One other thing, we briefly showed it off, but like the UI is completely different.
Yes.
Which is, I think, a huge deal. Like the inventory is so much cleaner. You can get a better look at your character here and see what they look like. All the character stats are like organized nicely here. You can sort much easier and see all these things highlighted in your inventory. Just really great. You can click a sort button here and it'll sort for you.
There's also the click to hold, like all those little things, those little quality of life changes that were made, like being able to send stacks or part of stacks.
Yeah.
Rather than the whole thing, all or nothing kind of thing. Now we can break up these stacks.
How do we do that again?
Just like this. So like as you're like, I'm gonna drop a few of them.
Historically, it's like, do you want to drop them all? Because that's all you can do. Just little small things like that are nice to have. The crafting menu looks awesome. It's so much nicer. Some people who were testing it earlier were a little frustrated that like you had to click each time you wanted to increase the number that you want to craft. That's a click and hold now.
Same with chests. Chests are now a click to hold, so you can open them that way.
Yeah, I'd show you some of that chest stuff, but they're scary right now. We have a crashing bug right now that we're working on, so we won't be able to show that off. But you guys will be able to check that out on your own when this update comes out in less than a week. Next week, Wednesday.
Oh, and taming.
Taming.
Before we.
There's issues with that, so why don't we just talk about taming?
Yeah.
So how has taming changed?
So taming has been increased in difficulty. So to tame, say, the massive dragon, the biggest dragon on the map, will now take a good amount of time. Mm-hmm. But I believe this might be how it currently works. I'll touch my nose just in case I'm wrong. But so things like the freezing buff, the slowing buff, the damage on them will account for how long it takes. So the less their health, the faster the tame. The slower they move, the faster the tame.
Right.
We're working on this is where the issue lies at the moment, but we're working on group taming, so people pacifying the same creature at the same time to increase its speed. Loyalty time has also been touched on, so that with these cooking reagents, instead of just those scrolls that everybody had stacks and stacks and stacks of and months on NPCs,
right.
The NPCs now want to eat that food we're cooking.
Right.
So in that salted elk we cooked, you can actually see in the description.
Did I eat it? I didn't. Okay.
Did not. So it'll be increasing loyalty time by 20 minutes for one of these.
Right.
And the more advanced the cooking recipe, the more time. The scrolls still exist. Mm-hmm. They're just a looted item now.
Right. Okay. So you can't craft those scrolls anymore.
Yeah, you can't craft those scrolls. Now you're feeding your NPCs food. In some cases, potentially wrongly.
Oh, yeah.
Feeding an elk.
Yeah, that's... Well, you know what? It's a land of magic and mystery. Let's not question these things.
It's just a vicious elk. What can you say?
Yeah, you know. He's got the bloodlust. What can you know? Well, who's walking around with a tamed elk anyway?
Right.
Come on, guy. Get at least a dire wolf. You could do that.
Get a bear.
Ride a bear. What are you doing?
Who doesn't want to ride a bear?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's all. I think the really exciting thing you mentioned is the group taming. I think that's really cool, the idea of like, okay, you got to get your friends together. We want to tame this infernal. Everybody's casting their, pacification spell on it. And, like, you want to damage it to, like, reduce its resistance to your pacification and, like, chuck these debuffs on it. It's a really cool way of changing up the game.
It'll make it much more of a group adventure. And that was the hope behind it. Becomes more of an activity that instead of just like, oh, yeah, I'm just going out to get a new dragon. It's an adventure to go get that dragon.
Absolutely. It's just another beat in your adventure to become a cool, powerful wizard guy.
Yeah.
Someone asks here, are servers being wiped next week? No, they're not. They are being wiped when we officially release this update. We don't have a specific date for that yet, but it should be end of July. You can safely assume that it'll be end of July, and as soon as we have a specific date for that, we'll share it. That's when the servers will be getting a wipe. Next week, all servers will be remaining up. Everything will be working exactly the same as it is. If you want to play Citadel as it currently exists and go on the existing servers, you're free to do that. And we'll share more information about this next week, a couple days before we actually launch this public test. But the way it'll work is you will get a separate branch of the game that you can access through Steam, and that will have special test servers. So these will be new servers for you to jump on. This will have all the new enhancements. You can try them out, and this will be fresh servers. I think we're going to have like 4 servers for people to play around on.
Nice.
So those your existing servers will still be there for at least another month.
Yeah.
After that, and we'll share the date as soon as we can, as soon as we're specifically able to decide which date we're going to be launching this on, because we do want to get it right. That's the purpose of this testing, is to get everyone in, get them trying the game on a large scale with this new stuff, so we can refine it. When we have that date, we'll share it with you guys as soon as possible. Let's see what other questions we have here. So the Wishmaster asks, I'm a real solo player. Does it mean I will never have a big dragon?
No, you can still tame that dragon. It'll just take a little bit of time. You might have to fight it for a little while, get it down to low health, maybe throw a few freezing buffs on it. So it's possible. It's very possible. It's just a little bit more challenging.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it. You might have, and I just missed it. Another thing that's changed about the taming is that the taming doesn't reset, right? If you break your tame,
that's a big one.
That's huge.
That's a huge change.
That's no understatement, a massive change, because taming is so frustrating. A lot of people complain about like flying dragons, taming those. you're taming them, you get them to like 3/4 of tamed, and then like they just fly in a weird direction, and you break the tame, and it's done. You have to start all over again.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore, right?
No, yeah. So it has a degrading time. So as you're pacifying, it'll build up and has stages.
Yeah.
I believe there's 5 stages. So once you get to about 20% through, it'll kind of save that progress. So if you were to then say, oh no, I ran out of mana, I need mana potions, or you just had to step away for a bit, you're able to actually break that pacify and come back, I believe it's 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Up to 10 minutes later and continue pacifying. So the pacify bar actually is saving its progress now.
Right. And yeah, so I think solo taming is still very possible because you know this is all a lot less frustrating just because of that one small change, I think.
Yeah, and that was the big draw for having staged taming was the single player who can't get it done really quickly, and anybody really who might get killed by that dragon and might have to go back.
Oh, okay. Another good one here. Cash asks about. He's asking about improving the AI and how it's not. He's saying his specific instance is like it's not very immersive for him if like the enemy is just standing still while you're attacking them.
Yeah.
Big improvements for the AI in this update.
Yeah.
Can you talk specifically about? I'm not 100% sure about the technical aspects of what we did to improve them. I just know from personal experience they seem much more responsive and active.
Yeah, so what had happened, our one of our designers, Dave Duder, Dave had just worked on making the environment more friendly to the actual NPCs themselves. So being the nav meshes going up the hills or around the trees. Even this is my favorite one. They can now go in and around your house without as much difficulty. And before they wouldn't really move around your home because they couldn't fit through doors. They couldn't do this. He's actually set everything so the NPCs can path cleanly through these tighter spaces. Yeah. And as well, we got big memory gains off of the amount of meshes we had. Yeah. So in a reduction of that, we got a huge gain in performance and NPC like reaction times and navigation. So they feel more smooth. They feel more lively. They can move around the map faster. They don't seem as jittery going through the forest. You can't cheese them as easily.
And we, like I said earlier, we did that boss run a little while ago, and I took some footage and I made a GIF which I used in one of those posts. It shows like there's 5 of us here in the studio fighting a dragon, and people commented like, "Oh, the dragon looks more responsive and like active. Like, did you guys do something with the AI?" Like I promise you guys, I didn't just choose like a really opportune moment and like clip it. Like that's how they act now. They actually respond to things and like turn to face and attack threats. So yes, Cash, to answer your question, and I'm excited to hear your feedback when you get your chance to play this on your own, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised to see that the AI is a lot better now. A lot better. That's been a priority for us with this update, and I think people are going to be happy with what they find with that.
Yeah, it feels really good now.
Oh boy, Nova, you're getting way ahead of us here. Asking for plans for the next update. Oh boy, Nova, we've killed ourselves on this update. So, I mean, as soon as we have anything to say about future updates and what that will entail and what we plan to do going forward from this, we will tell you. But right now, we're just like, we want to get this out the door. We want to get this spellcrafting and all these huge improvements out to the people.
Yeah, get it in your hands, get us that feedback so that for that secondary one, that's what we'll need We'll need you jumping on this next update, letting us know some feedback, man.
And we still have that Trello board. You can get it on the Steam discussions. It's a pinned thread there if you want to check out, like, we just took some of our in-house ideas and some of the major wants and ideas from the community, threw them on a Trello board. We're showing you what we're working on, what's coming soon, and just ideas that we potentially have. None of it's a promise that we're going to be doing any of that. But if you want to check that out, you can see where our head is for potential future updates.
And jumping into the Discord as well and giving us feedback there.
Totally,
and all those things. We're watching them regularly.
Yeah, lots of places for you to give us feedback, and believe me when I tell you we are reading all that feedback very intently. And of course, we're very appreciative of everybody that's sharing that feedback. The letter B is for Brian, is asking, are we getting a resurrection/revive spell? I think we have one.
We do, and it's actually, well, it depends on the sense in which if he's meaning resurrecting a dead friend. No.
It's not like WoW. We don't have like revive spell.
We have something a little bit more specialty. I don't know if I want to give it away.
Is it still being kind of worked on?
It's still being played with a bit, just because it has some. It's very powerful and has some potential, but it's we call it Phoenix Rising. So as you're about to die, you can cast this thing, and it'll save what you have in your pocket. So instead of our loot bag dropping on the ground and you needing to go get it, this is kind of like a one-time cast, Hail Mary, save my stuff kind of cast.
Right.
So it's a very niche spell. It's not necessarily a resurrection, but it is kind of a saver of your adventure, your rewards from the adventures.
Yeah. Alchemist Ward is asking us to talk about the wipes. He wants to know if it's just structures or if it's player data too, or if it's just player data and not structures. It's going to be everything.
Yeah.
And honestly, we don't want to do that. We really wish we didn't have to do that, but it might not even be obvious watching us play it right now, but so much has changed that it's just impossible for us to elegantly transition player data and structure data into these new systems.
Yeah.
I mean, like for example, the knowledge tree is completely different.
Yeah.
The spells that you can get are completely different. Like, we don't know how, there's no elegant way for us to transition all of this into a new system.
Yeah.
So unfortunately that means, and this is an unfortunate necessary evil of early access, something we tried very, very hard to avoid, and we're proud that we avoided it for a year. We're coming up on a year of Citadel in early access. But unfortunately, we've reached the point where we have to go ahead and do some wipes.
Yeah.
And we know some of you will be losing structures or characters that you're very proud of. And I just want to let you know that we will be saving all that structure data, and we will be uploading it for people to download, and they can continue playing with those characters, though it may be glitchy and weird, and there might be problems, because like we said, there's no real elegant way to transition this stuff, but it will be there for you. We want to make sure that stuff is preserved, because I know a lot of you guys are really excited about, you know, the things that you've built in the past or the characters that you've developed. And you can rehost that on private servers. You just might encounter a lot of issues that we won't necessarily be able to fix, because as far as we're concerned, the Citadel you're seeing right now is the Citadel going forward, and it's I think for the best of the game.
Yeah, it's much. This is just the experience in this version that you're seeing now is night and day, like we were saying earlier, night and day. And it would almost feel like a shame to kind of corrupt it with the old stuff, but some people, they got attached.
Well, it's also, you know, just to be completely frank about the situation, we're a small studio. We have like 12 employees, something in that ballpark. You know, if we have to devote programmers to working on old stuff when we're trying to move the game forward, it doesn't really make sense. It's hamstringing ourselves in a weird way. We want to push the game forward and keep pushing the game forward. So unfortunately, and I'm really sorry that we have to do this, and I know we said we wanted to do our best to prevent this from happening if we could, and we did, but unfortunately we've reached that point where it's just got to happen. But like I said, you guys will be able to download that data, and you know, it'll be preserved for you.
And I don't know if anybody saw that lighting transition, but it was beautiful.
As you said, I noticed, as you said, night and day.
Yeah, it was going to day, and everything was purple and beautiful.
As you said, night and day. Beautiful transition to the day. It's the new dawn of Citadel, folks. How beautiful and symbolic is that, just sitting here? Let's see. Go back to your plants. Did they ever grow? I think it's still too short of a period.
Oh, no, they might have done something.
Oh, yeah?
The first stage might have happened.
Okay. Follow-up thought. Where did I plant those? I think
it was on the other side of this hill.
I think I remember
2 and 3.
I think it was 2 and 3. Whoa, dev cheat jankiness.
Yeah, it should be that way.
So just across this body of water.
It was to the left.
Over here.
Where did you build?
I didn't throw a throne down, so I can't see.
Oh no.
It's gone, guys.
Did we cross the lake? I don't think we crossed the lake.
It's gone forever.
Poor farm.
Yeah.
And I guess someone else will be able to claim it now.
Some other lucky developer will stumble upon it and say, what is this piece of crap?
I'm going to blow it up.
Yeah, I think I'll just nuke it. Sorry guys, we can't go back and see if they grew. I promise you plants grow. You plant them and they grow, I promise you that.
In 3 stages.
Yeah. Let's answer a few more questions, then we'll call it a day here. Come back on base defense. Okay, Wishmaster is asking about base defense. I think a big thing worth mentioning also, another thing that's coming that I don't think is in the live build of the game, is the shields, and this is something people have asked for a long time. Now only take damage from siege spells. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That was something we were working towards, was making it so it's not. The problem was that mana generation and the mana sucking from people just hitting it with whatever. So we tried to make that a little bit more meaningful and more powerful by having it only react to siege spells. And as well, the debuffs inside are a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
And the shields themselves are a bit stronger. So
yeah,
they're much more viable as a defense option.
Yes.
I remember that critique. They didn't have much oomph and people could get around them quite easily. So we tried to solve that solution.
Yeah, they're a legitimately viable way of defending your base.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
Previously, there were some issues with them that prevented that, but I think now people are going to find they're actually really worth getting. Just like based on how hard it is to make siege spells, it just makes it so by building those shields, you're basically forcing people to get close to your base if they want to take it down.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool, and I think that's going to make a lot of people happy who have been, not super psyched about the way shields have operated in the past. One last question, and we're out of here. Let's see. Okay, Warframe is asking about performance again. We've addressed that before. You're going to see some improvements with this update for sure. A lot of improvements in the last couple, if you haven't played the last couple of updates on the live build, and you're going to see some improvements with this update.
For sure.
So last real question. Okay, this is an interesting question. Telekinesis. Sawyer.
Yes.
Let's talk about telekinesis.
Okay.
Is that gone forever? People want to know. I saw actually a few people asking about this.
The people want to know.
The people do want to know.
Currently, it will not be coming in
Yeah.
to the into the newest update. We were trying to find really interesting ways to make it really more of like a group spell or a dynamic. Like we couldn't figure out a way to make it like a nice, safe, siegeable spell. It was very griefable. People abused the heck out of it. It was a really fun idea, and we all love it. And I know players loved how it looked and how it felt.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we did have to pull it out just because it became a bit too mean to the younger players to have their whole house thrown thrown off to the side by a level 60 person. So yeah, we had to dial that back, but it's something that we still have in our wish list, but no immediate plans to reintroduce.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like you said. We have to find a way to make it fun without making it boring, and like fun often means griefable with this spell. But I'm sure we want to at some point maybe get it back in the game, but it won't be coming with this update, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did have to pull that one back just because it was a little strong.
Yeah,
but it's like Dennis said, it is something that we think is fun, and we want to get it in and get it back to you. But it's not a big priority to have with this update at the moment.
And like anything else in the game, if you have cool ideas about how telekinesis could work, no guarantees, but if you want to share those with us, we are reading the feedback all the time. And, a lot of changes that we've made over the course of early access have come from community feedback. So we're listening. Please do share your thoughts on these things,
I'd say over half of this update came from the community.
Easily
over half.
Easily, yes.
So it's something that we take very, very seriously, and if you guys think of some cool, clever way that telekinesis could work and is viable for us to be able to do, and that's something we'll obviously evaluate. But by all means, please give us the feedback, give us the hopes and dreams.
Yeah, this update is us saying, how can we breathe life back into Citadel, and what do people want to see from the game, and us trying to address those things. So I think you guys will be excited by what you see next week, Wednesday. It's coming up. Really excited. Super excited, actually. So please share your feedback on these things when you play them and try them, because, again, this is a test. The full launch of this content isn't for like another month. So there's still time to get your thoughts in and for us to react to those things. And on the Steam forums, I'll be setting up a sub forum specifically for this test, so you'll have a special place where you can just drop that feedback, and that's where we'll be looking. Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here. We've been playing for like over an hour.
Yeah.
Longest stream in a while, but there's just so much to talk about and so much to show off.
So much exciting stuff.
Huge update. We're so excited to show you guys this stuff, and we're so excited for you guys to get your hands on it for yourself. This is coming, like I said, on Steam announcements on the 27th, so that's Wednesday of next week. We'll share a little more information about how you guys will be able to access this stuff, download that test build, and I'll give you a specific time of when it's available. If you're watching this, you're not familiar with Citadel, and you like what you see, now's a great time to buy the game. It's on sale for 50% off. You can jump on Steam during the summer sale. We'll have it there for a reasonable price, I would say. An already reasonably priced game at an even more reasonable price.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. Yeah, so thanks a lot for coming out, guys, and taking a look at this update. And we are super excited for you guys to get your hands on it, like I keep saying. Thanks for joining me, Sawyer.
Oh, thanks for having.
And we'll see you guys again soon when we have something else to show off. See you later.